Welcome to another one of our exciting Black Buddhist lectures. I am Anthony Elmore, a Black Buddhist teacher who teach Buddhism inclusive of Black history, culture, and language. And since it's the holiday season, we bring you another exciting Black Buddhist lecture. My lecture today is Santa and Christmas was started by Blacks and Buddhists. Enjoy. And you need Black teachers to teach you your Black Buddhist history. Now, let us first begin with Santa. See, Santa historically was a Black man. We have incontrovertible proof that Santa was originally a Black man. See, Santa, or the image of Santa, comes from Saint Nicolás. Now, Saint Nicolás was a Black Buddhist or an Israelite. See, Nicolás was born during the 3rd century in a village of Patara, is what is now the southern coast of Turkey. He was a wealthy Buddhist Israelite of the ancient Roman Empire of the tribe of Israel. He was a Moor. Please understand that the original Israelites were Black and Buddhist. See, Nicolás was a very rich man. Nicolás used his whole inheritance to assist the needy, the sick, and the suffering. He was made Bishop of Myra while still a young man. Bishop Nicolás was known throughout the land for his generosity to those in need, his love for children, and how he spent his life helping other people. He was a part of Black Europe, the Black, rich and educated Moors who once ruled Europe. Now, you have to look this up. Just Google Santa, Google Saint Nicolás, and you will read about Saint Nicolás, and you will see that he was a Black man. See, please look up the word Etruscan. See, they were the Black Buddhists or the first Romans. See, look up Etruscan. See, history don't really tell you about the Etruscans, or you don't. See, when you read about Rome, you read about the Roman Empire and you read about the white Romans. But Rome was founded by Black people. There is a history and a culture. They were called the Etruscans, and they were Black people, and they were Buddhists. Now, about 100 years before the AD, the whites or the Romans overtook the Etruscans, and they absorbed the land, and they became what was known as the Romans. But the first Romans were the Etruscans, and they were Buddhists, and they practiced, Buddhism. Now, see, the white man they call Santa Claus arrived or is a descendant of the Gothic Slavic conquerors of Rome. And Christianity have built up an image of Odin, the god of the gods, in the Norsemen, and have passed off the real Saint Nicolás. In other words, they rewrote the history of the real Saint Nicolás. See, just like people have changed history, when it got down to the Santa Claus, they actually rewrote Santa Claus. But we have literary evidence, archaeological evidence, genetic evidence. We have evidence of the real Saint Nicolás, and he's a Black man. Now, all you have to do is Google Saint Nicolás was Black, and you will know that Santa, or the real Saint Nicolás, was Black. Saint Nicolás is part of our Black culture and history, and held to the guests that we celebrate our rich Black heritage with Saint Nicolás. So do we practice Christmas? Hell yeah. Now, let's get into the story of Jesus Christ. You see, the story of Jesus Christ comes directly from Buddhism. See, the virgin birth, the resurrection, and even the birth of Christ comes from Buddhism. Do not take my word for it. Just Google December the 25th, the Buddha's birthday. You see, in the ancient times, the Buddha, December 25th was the birthday of the Buddha, and it's also the birthday of Krishna. See, the Krishnas were Buddhists. There were two different sets of Buddhists, and they were Buddhists. Now, all the story about the manger and the virgin birth and all that stuff, all that comes from Buddhism. Now, this is not just something that Anthony Elmore made up. Now, that was, I think, 1830. There was a book written in 1830 called The Nicolás, and that was a British historian by the name of Sir Godfrey Higgins. And this is what Sir Godfrey Higgins writes about it. He says this: the time has now arrived when it becomes proper to enter upon an examination of the doctrines of the celebrated Buddha of India, which were the foundations of the mysticies of the Western nations, as well as those which have been seen of Krishna. And from the two were supplied most of the superstitions which became engrafted into the religion of Jesus Christ. Unquote. You see, I didn't make this up. When you study history, or when you go back and you study the black history, you will find that Jesus Christ, or the story of Jesus, was that of a black man. Now, the Buddhist religion, there are two people you must understand. There is the Buddha and there's Krishna. See, there was a separation between the two groups regarding the female principle. Those of you in the proud black Buddhists, one way to help you understand the history is for you to look up the Etruscans. Now, about 100 BC, black people became absorbed by white people called Romans. Now, these two types of Buddhist tribes that you must understand, for the sake of this lecture, you let's just say they are Buddha and Krishna. See, these were black Buddhists, but in the old days they were not called Buddhists. They were called Jim, the sophists. See, Jim means naked and sophists means philosophers. Now, the word Krishna later became known as Christ or Krishna. When you look at the Catholic Church and you see the Black Madonna and you look at the ancient paintings, you will see the Black Madonna. What we know, or what later became known as the Christian Church, this came from the Buddhist religion. When you see the Black Madonna, see, Buddha's mama was named Maya. And when you look at the Catholic Church and you look at those old images of the Black Madonna, that's because the Catholic Church came later from the Buddhists or from the Krishnas. And the Krishnas later became Christianity. You see, even St. Nicolás in 323 AD, he took part in the Council of Nicaea, where they came up with the Christian religion. When you look at Buddhists and you look at the Catholic Church, you will see that the Catholic Church emerged from Buddhism to be called Christianity. See, the word Jesus means anointed, and Nazarene means one who has attained an individual level of enlightenment. So, all of that, when you look at the story of Buddhism, we call it the temptation of Mara. That's when the Buddha is said to attain enlightenment, when he so-called went to meditate, but that's really not what happened. Now, in the Bible, this is called the temptation of Christ. See, it's the same story. You look here at this picture, you see the Buddha's 12 disciples. Well, the Christ had 12 disciples. When you look at King Kanishka and he had the first coin. He had a coin of the Buddha. On one side of the coin you had the Buddha, and the other side of the coin you had Jesus, because we talking one and the same thing. We make the point to help you understand what we know as Santa and Christmas originally came from the Buddhist religion. In Rome and in Egypt, Buddhists became known as Christians. When you say we say that the first popes were black. This is a whole different lecture. See, quickly, Abraham, the father of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, was a Persian. See, the Persians had conquered Egypt, and that's when Abraham came about. See, quickly, Abraham was a Brahmin. A Brahmin. That's what they say. Abraham means a Brahmin. Now, this lecture again is called Santa and Christmas was started by blacks and Buddhists. We at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association say, let's make the world a better place to live in. I am Anthony Elmore, President and founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association, giving you a lecture that states Santa and Christmas was started by black Buddhists.